ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask the government whether the government itself is sure of its policy vis-a-vis Turkey. What's going on? What is the central government doing? And let me start with a fact. Last night, a flight took off from Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar airport and came in to the New Delhi airport. Don't be shocked, ladies and gentlemen. That flight was a Turkish plane with a Turkish Airways pilot, the airline Corendon or something like that. It's a domestic Turkish airline. The crew were from the Turkish airline. A few understood English, most of them did not understand any Indian language. And they were flying between Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar and Delhi. So on the one side, the government told us post Operation Sindoor that we take very, very seriously the role of Turkey in arming and supporting Pakistan. And Turkey has taken an anti-Pakistan position. And Turkey is targeting the Indian armed forces. We had very senior Lieutenant General level officers of the Indian Army who went on stage and said this time we were not fighting Pakistan. We were fighting Pakistan plus Turkey plus China. Now, I want to know why the government has forgotten its own promises given to the people of India post Operation Sindoor. Ladies and gentlemen, you know and I know the position taken by Turkey during Operation Sindoor. Will we ever forget what happened during Pahalgam and what happened after that? When post-Pahalgam, during Operation Sindoor, in the intervening nights of the 6th of May and the 10th of May, Turkey stood firmly with the Pakistanis. We remember the promises at that point of time. And we were told that on the 15th of May, the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, after a massive media pressure and public pressure, issued an official notification revoking the security clearance of Celebi Airport Services India Limited. Following the revocation, the Delhi International Airport Limited announced the termination of its association with Celebi entities. Why? Because this is a Turkish-owned company. But then why is it, ladies and gentlemen, that in December, just 6 months later, the government has allowed the Turkish Airlines to come in with Turkish pilots and Turkish air crew? This is bizarre, ladies and gentlemen. Bizarre. In May 2025, we are told one thing. By December, the government does a complete U-turn. And now the government of India is allowing SpiceJet and IndiGo to fly Turkish planes, and in some cases, Turkish pilots and Turkish air crew between Indian cities. What is the helplessness of the government? What is the compulsion of the Civil Aviation Minister and the DGCA? The nation has a right to know. We are not being told, ladies and gentlemen. I want to share some facts with you. IndiGo was granted a one-time last and final extension of 3 months, we were told, in May till August 2025, and told to make some alternative arrangements to make sure there's no Turkish dependency. The language used by both the regulator and the airline was explicit. This was supposed to be the last extension. But then quietly the government gave another extension in August 2025 for 6 more months. Just before the lease was due to expire, IndiGo applies for another extension. The government happily gives IndiGo another 6 months extension on the Turkish issue. Which means tonight, Turkish Airline aircraft and crew are and will continue operating in Indian airspace. And you all know the position Turkey took during Operation Sindoor. This India-Turkey aviation link, in my view, is completely avoidable. Let the government of India and the DGCA not tell me that this is this justification, that justification. My question to the government of India is this. Why are you allowing Turkish private airlines with Turkish ownership, Turkish pilots and Turkish air crew to fly between Indian cities? And why have you given this extension specifically in the case of IndiGo? And I'm told SpiceJet. Why this U-turn? Has the government of India done such a U-turn in any other critical sectors? And if not, then why only aviation? Or has some U-turn been done in other sectors as well? Ladies and gentlemen, we will never have a strong strategic policy unless we learn to be resolute. The definition of a hard state that defends national interest is that that national interest is not something that is dormant to be used on occasion as an argument and shelved aside on another occasion as an unnecessary adornment. I do not believe in such definitions of national security. I ask you, will Turkey allow Air India to fly between two Turkish cities, Ankara and Istanbul? Why do we allow? Why do we allow Turkish planes to fly between Chennai and Delhi and God knows where else? Pakistan has used, and I want to remind the government of India, Pakistan has used Turkish supplied drones to attack our armed forces. Why are we giving Turkish Airlines a free run and a red carpet welcome on our soil when we told the people of India that in May this year that we would not allow it? Turkey is the biggest arms supplier to Pakistan. Turkey is strategically aligned against India. Turkey has taken an anti-India position in the case of Kashmir. Turkey says we are brothers with Pakistan. We will stand by Pakistan. It flew Turkish Air Force planes just before and during Operation Sindoor into Islamabad, into Rawalpindi. What is the reason we have given such a long rope to Turkey in terms of aviation? Now, viewers, whatever the government says, I just want to say one thing to the government. Don't use the argument that you're doing this for the people of India. The people of India, if required, will suffer the hardship of not having two planes between three sectors if necessary, but the people of India will not forgive at all the backdoor entry of Turkey into India's aviation sector. Secondly, are you going to reopen your links in other sectors as well? Are you going to allow ground handling as well? Why are these exemptions being given? And how do the people of India read these exceptions? They are going to question the necessity of these exceptions. But more than anything else, they're going to ask one simple question. You promised one thing, but you did another. That is not done. Just not done.